89.7 KLAS FM. My name is Richard Harris. We're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly in sports. I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to Pam Warwick down in Connecticut, who's listening to my show. Hopefully you are well. Adirondack Camp, big part of my life. I still talk to people from that place every day, every week at least. And if you guys are interested in sponsoring my show, I thank Adirondack Camp actually for being one of the many sponsors, along with the Hollywood and Island Hotel and Hostel and the automotive shop on Pico, and some of the other ones I've had over time. And I thank you all for your support. But now we're about to get ugly, and there is some ugly to talk about. I want to give a message to all the fans out there. Fans, we appreciate that you watch sports with your heart, your eyes, your mind, and your brains. But what Vancouver fans did this past week is borderline insanity. You didn't win the Stanley Cup, and so instead of accepting defeat, we know Canadians are tough guys. I hear many stories when I used to be a bouncer out here that at Toronto clubs, the bouncers fight the guys in the alley and it's all cool and everything. Or I hear stories about, how tough hockey players are. They like to fight. That's why they don't take fighting out of hockey. But to have 150 people arrested, over 100 people injured, a couple people very seriously, because your team lost, because you're frustrated that your team has now allowed a second American team to end a horrible drought. That's crazy. So now you've destroyed other people's properties, other people's businesses. You forced the police to have extra man hours and woman hours to do their jobs, all because you lost a hockey game. And you're not the only team that does that. When the Lakers even win, the fans out here destroy LA. When the Detroit Red Wings won a few years ago, they destroyed Detroit. When the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, they destroyed Boston. So can we please stop doing this? The one thing that made Barry Sanders such a great player and somebody that we all loved most is that when Barry Sanders scored a touchdown, when Jim Brown scored a touchdown, they didn't dance, they didn't celebrate. They just turned and flipped the ball to the referee, and they acted like they had been there before. And though sports is a huge part of the fabric in a lot of countries and a lot of cities around the world, destroying your town, going to jail, having to pay many fines, possibly going to jail for assault and battery because you assaulted a police officer or because you beat somebody up wearing a Bruins jersey, is foolish. When you lose, there's nothing for you to do other than to go home and say, wait till next year. When you win, you can celebrate in the stadium. I remember when the Yankees won the World Series in '96. The players were riding around the horses and inside a Yankee Stadium, and the fans celebrated inside the stadium. They had a great time. But terrorizing and destroying your cities over a game. Now I know they do it like when they, was it the GHO or GTO, whatever it is, these conferences they have around the country and around the world, and they do these protests and they start destroying places, because they're protesting some country being there, or protesting America, or protesting whatever. Come on, people. There are 100,000 other things to do with your time. And it'd be one thing if it was just college kids or just stupid kids. There's adults too. So if you want to blow off some steam, go to the gym. Go run. But don't destroy a city over a sporting event, please. Maybe if you put that passion into your players, they wouldn't let the Bruins push them around so easily. And you might have won. And we'll talk more on 89.7 KLASM FM, More Ugly, after this.
Just a few steps east of Vine, LA Radiator offers the fastest service at the lowest cost available anywhere in the area. Whether it's just a tune-up or a major repair, you'll be putting your car in the best hands possible. Don't let the name LA Radiator fool you. They do a lot more than just radiators. Remember, the next time your car needs any repair, try LA Radiator at 6216 Santa Monica Boulevard, located just a few steps east of Vine Street in Hollywood.
89.7 KLAS-FM. My name is Richard Harris. We're down to our final 10 minutes of the show. I hope you all enjoyed listening to my show, and I appreciate the phone call I received today, as I always do, as we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of sports. And in my last segment, or one of my last segments, I think I'm going to try to squeeze two uglies in real fast. I want to talk to you about what I wrote in that article in the newsbyu.com blog. And I was talking about villains in sports, and what are villains in sports, and why are they villains, and who are villains in sports. And right now, the villains in sports are people who just don't do what we want them to do as sports fans. When I was a kid, the villain in sport in baseball was Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson would talk smack everywhere he went. He angered his teammates. He angered fans. But there was nothing you could say about Reggie Jackson because Reggie Jackson would perform. In the playoffs, he hit great. In the World Series, he hit great. And so, no matter how much he made you mad, he performed. Muhammad Ali, a lot of people don't realize this. Muhammad Ali, there was a big part of the population that didn't like Muhammad Ali because he would humiliate and denigrate his opponents with his words. In fact, a lot of people wanted Joe Frazier to knock Muhammad Ali's head off his shoulders when he did, when he broke his jaw and beat him. But then, people realized that it was a shtick, that people realized that Muhammad Ali was just having fun, and he was just trying to get into his opponent's head, and a lot of times it worked. But Muhammad Ali would perform. And so we hated him, not in the word hate. He just was a villain because he made us mad because he got the job done and could talk about it. We have been spoiled, folks, in our lives. I'm 43 years old. We've been very spoiled in our lives in sports. We've had Muhammad Ali, as I just mentioned before. We've had Michael Jordan. I've heard many stories talking to some NBA players about how Michael Jordan would talk trash on the basketball court. And there's that great story of Michael Jordan going into Utah and he dunked on John Stockton or Jeff Hornacek or somebody like that. And some fan screamed at Michael Jordan, pick on somebody your own size. Then he dunked on Mel Turpin, who happened to be 6'11", 280 pounds. And he looked at the fan and said, is he big enough? To me, that was what villains were in sports. They were the people that you loved to hate, but you loved them. But today, villains in sports are completely different. Villains in sports today are people who irk you so much that you literally do hate them. I mean, obviously right now at the top of the food chain, it's LeBron James. Most people right now